It is Friday, April 25th, and major news breaking this morning. Judgment Day is upon us. The FBI, under Kash Patel's leadership, arresting multiple Dem activist judges. We have the footage. The feds raiding these judges' homes, frog marching them out in cuffs. Wait till you see this. Also, our new Medicaid and Medicare administrators saying billions of dollars in fraud are being found and exposed. And if you thought USAID was bad, just wait. And one of the funniest clips all year, two ex-CNN washed-up reporters, Don Lemon and Jim Acosta, going at it in their living rooms yesterday, trying to keep each other's spirits up as their independent shows, their independent careers, failed to take off, failed to attract an audience, and more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So it's been almost 2 months since Kash Patel and Pam Bondi were inaugurated, and like we covered yesterday, not one high-profile arrest had been made. Not one deep state operative had been arrested or charged. We did a whole segment on this in yesterday's broadcast. Well, what do you know? 1 day later, and the FBI raiding and arresting multiple Dem activist judges accused of terrible crimes. FBI Director Kash Patel announcing this morning, Friday morning, that the Bureau has arrested Judge Hannah Dugan, a Milwaukee, Wisconsin judge, charged with obstruction, accusing the dishonorable judge with obstructing and assisting criminal aliens, helping these illegals evade arrest by ICE last week. Kash Patel releasing this statement on X this morning. We believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing this subject, an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Also adding, though, that thankfully our agents were able to chase the perp down on foot, and he's since been arrested and in custody. But the judge's obstruction created increased danger to the public. Watch.
Have taken the extraordinary step to arrest a judge for allegedly obstructing an immigration arrest. Let's get right to NBC's Gary Grumbach, who has been trying to work on getting this reporting for us. What do we know?
So what we know right now is that over the past several days and weeks, we've seen videos of people being arrested at courthouses by Department of Homeland Security officials when they show up for hearings to adjudicate their immigration status. And that is something we've seen over and over again over the past several weeks. Now, veteran circuit court judge up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, her name is Hannah Dugan. She's now being accused of trying to help out an undocumented immigrant avoid arrest. And I want to read to you FBI Director Kash Patel's tweet. He says in part, quote, "Just now, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week." He says, going on, saying, "We believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing the subject, who they call an illegal alien, to evade arrest." Now, they say that this individual was eventually arrested by DHS officials. This is something that is just developing on it, and have not yet seen any court documents in this case, but we are awaiting further news on this topic.
Again, I know how fresh this is, Gary, but do we know how unusual is a situation like this for feds to arrest a judge?
WSAU reporting this morning that Dugan, the judge, allegedly allowed this illegal migrant to hide in her jury room to evade arrest. This coming after another judge, a second judge, really the first judge, a former New Mexico judge, was arrested yesterday for, get this, hiding an alleged Tren de Aragua gang member inside his house. Magistrate Judge Joel Cano and his wife both arrested yesterday. Kash Patel even releasing the footage of the FBI raiding Cano's home, arresting and frog marching him out in cuffs. AG Pam Bondi updating the public this morning on what this judge did, on what he was doing, harboring a Tren de Aragua gang member. You can't make this up. Watch.
I mean, when you look at the associations with this violent Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and this person that they harbored in their home, he was showing signs through clothing, we were told, tattoos. There was evidence through voice messages and text messages of his association to TDA. So what charges will Cano and his wife face, if any?
So Judge Cano, soon to be former Judge Cano, his charges were just unsealed. He's charged with obstruction. He admitted post Miranda. He took one of the TDA members' cell phones himself, took it, beat it with a hammer, destroyed it, and then walked the pieces to a city dumpster to dispose of it to protect him. The wife also is charged with destroying evidence. Sandra, not only that, this TDA member, and he had on a necklace that said kill, something about death. He had tattoos all over him. He also had on his cell phone pictures of two decapitated victims, decapitated, gruesome photos. And he was sending them out, and whoever he was sending them to was sending back saying, hey, you need to be careful. You shouldn't be sending these. You shouldn't be texting these photos out. Not only that, these two, the judge and his wife, gave him assault rifles that belonged to their daughter. That's what they're charged with. In the criminal report affidavit, he goes to a shooting range with these assault rifles, with a suppressor, with other known TDA members, and they're shooting. This is the last person that we want in our country, nor will we ever tolerate a judge or anyone else harboring them.
This is now 2 corrupt judges down in just the last 48 hours. Something MAGA had been demanding, accountability. This morning, Judge Dugan seen here racing off after being arrested, seen racing to her car after posting bail for these multiple felony charges. And the reason Dem judges are fighting so hard to keep illegals in this country, apparently even the criminal ones, is because of political control, folks. If all the illegals were to be deported and removed, they would no longer be counted for apportionment in the U.S. Census. If they were to all be removed, all of them, every last illegal, Dems would stand to lose 10 seats in the House, effectively giving Republicans a 27-seat advantage. DNI Tulsi Gabbard piling on this morning, saying accountability doesn't stop with just these 2 arrests, with just these 2 judges. She, too, as the top intel official in this country, is actively referring leakers to the DOJ, saying, you may not hear about the work we're doing, but all these Dem-aligned, left-aligned deep state operatives will be facing consequences, saying, I made it very clear to the Senate and to the American people that we will not allow this to continue. What you're seeing here is us carrying out the promise and the mandate the American people gave President Trump. Watch.
We talked about this. There's people within the department not selling secrets to Russia or China.
Well, we're keeping an eye out for that, too.
Absolutely. But undermining the policy of the administration, the first administration, working against you at the CIA, working against you. Now you're finding this out. So you found people who seem motivated to undermine the president.
Yeah. When we look at the examples that I've seen just in the short time that I've been in this position, what they consist of is essentially very selective leaks to their friends in the propaganda media that twist and manipulate intelligence directly to undermine the president's policies and his aggressive work to keep the American people safe.
So does that third person know that you're zeroing in on them?
I don't know if they know, but these are the first 3 investigations. We are referring to the Department of Justice. There are more that we are continuing to, investigations we're continuing
Can you give
internally.
me the nature of what they did, and will we know their names?
I can't get into detail now because of the criminal investigations that the FBI will be conducting. But in each one of these examples, I can tell you we know that the intent, based on the result that we've seen through their leaks to the Washington Post, the New York Times, and other outlets, Huffington Post and others, has been directly to undermine President Trump and the work that he's doing.
In another story, Trump's new Medicaid and Medicare administrator, Dr. Oz, updating the American people this morning, saying, my top priority is locating and cutting the mass fraud out of the system. And if you thought USAID was a problem, you ain't seen nothing yet. Some of the issues that we've been discovering will bring a shiver to you. That's what he said. Roll the tape.
My mission is to protect the most vulnerable, because I'll tell you, as a heart surgeon, the most expensive care is bad care. You got to pay the person who's doing a bad job. You got to pay someone else who's capable to fix the problem, and you got to pay for the complications. And there's so many things we can do to improve care in America. And folks watching this program are probably witnessing and pretty good testimonials out there about what has been done in the past that's not worked well. But here's the good news. We can empower beneficiaries, give you tools, and that's coming down the pike at you. We can make sure providers have better opportunities and incentivize them to do the right thing, because oftentimes in CMS, we've unfortunately gotten folks to do things wrong because we pay them for doing things incorrectly. But right now, my main focus, without any question, is to wage a war on fraud, waste, and abuse.
Okay.
Because that's what's required. All hands on deck. It's a massive issue. Hundreds of billions of dollars potentially out there. Not all of it's going to be collected at once, but we've got a war room right now focused very much on things that are going to really bother you. If you thought USAID was a problem, some of the issues that we are discovering, some of the things that CMS has been funding through Medicare and Medicaid and the exchanges will bring a little shiver to you.
USAID really was a drop in the bucket. The big waste is in the biopharma, medical, and defense industries. Medicaid, Medicare, the Social Security Administration, and the DoD, the Department of Defense. We haven't heard much yet out of DOGE on the Pentagon, but that's where the money is. That's where the waste is. And if they're going to hit their $1 to $2 trillion goal in cutting fraud, waste, and abuse by the end of year one, they need to get moving in there. In another story, Washington State's providing black first-time home buyers $120,000 in free down payment and closing cost assistance. The program doesn't help all first-time home buyers. No, this state decides to pass racially charged legislation, specifically excluding people from these benefits if they're the wrong race. Watch.
State's Covenant Homeownership Program provides down payment and closing cost assistance for lower-income first-time home buyers. Lawmakers created the program to address the disproportionate impacts of racial redlining in Washington state. House Bill 1696 modifies the program by adjusting the area median income threshold for program eligibility, introducing loan forgiveness, and modifying the Oversight Committee membership. This modification will create more opportunities to close the racial homeownership gap, which is a very important goal for all of us here in Washington state. We so appreciate everybody who made this legislation possible. We know it's been, like any legislation, challenging.
Yes.
This one has its share of challenges, as we know.
Yes.
But Representative Taylor has been a real champion of this legislation, and so we appreciate your leadership in particular. Thank you very much. And with that, I'm pleased to sign this legislation.
Let me know what you think about this in the comments. If you think America should be a truly colorblind society, not providing favorable treatment to some people over others because of immutable characteristics. In another story, a funny story, two of the most contemptible ex-CNN reporters, washed out CNN employees who made their names, really made their reputations covering Trump 1.0, Trump during his first term, Don Lemon and Jim Acosta, two of CNN's biggest stars 8 years ago, covering Trump unfairly and dishonestly. That was 8 years ago. And how things have changed. Both of these guys now fired, terminated from CNN, both turning to podcasting, starting their own independent shows, and failing at it. Very low numbers. Watch as they interview each other yesterday, trying to reassure themselves, pump each other up, that they're doing well. You're doing just fine, Don. You too, Jim. While streaming from their living rooms and talking about what the audience wants, saying people can trust that I'm going to tell them the truth. I think people like that, he said. You can't make this up. Watch.
But I think it's another nail, especially in the confidence that people have in corporate media, the trust that they have in corporate media. And I think that is why folks like you over here on Substack doing extremely well. I'm doing okay on Substack. Also
You're doing
on
great.
YouTube, doing
Watch
well.
Don on Substack.
Yeah.
Watch Don on YouTube.
Yeah. And so I think that's why we're having such success. And they don't care if you're on the North Lawn and the South Lawn of the White House with pancake makeup on and all the lights and the shiny desks. They want people they like, they trust, and they care about. And I think that's figures like us. People can trust that I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm also not going to bombard them with frivolous stuff. I'm not going to have false equivalency on my show. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think people like that.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.